Welcome to Progress in San Diego. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. And this is our final recording here at Cox Communications in El Cajon. And it wouldn't be fitting to go out without having my mentor, Alyce Smith Cooper. And she was the one instrumental in starting this entire series. We had 9 spin-off shows from this beginning, which happened for me in 2007 when I was in New Orleans covering the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina with my newspaper, the San Diego County Times, and utilizing my internet television broadcast, the Citizens Internet Television Network. I was there covering the International Drug Policy Conference when, on my off time, I decided to film and broadcast the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. And one of the people that was in the audience to see that broadcast was Alyce Smith Cooper, who then asked me to start webcasting her shows, and thus the beginning of a 5-year relationship in which we've been training almost 400 people now to be citizen journalists and also tell their stories utilizing public access. So a very fitting end to this series here at Cox Communications. And welcome to the show, Alyce, my final show. I'm so happy that you were able to come.
I'm delighted, absolutely delighted. And I really appreciated the invitation, though I wasn't sure at first that I could make it. But you know, the thing that I understand about that experience, as well as all of the other things that we have experienced together, is that it's all in divine order. There's a purpose, there's a plan, and no matter how we may think we're in control of it, it really all works out the way it's supposed to. I've been fascinated, absolutely fascinated with your progress in this whole public access television, internet, webcasting, all of the things that you have done, because you brought to what was for me an invitation and an introduction, but you brought your expertise in media, in administration, in your ability to connect and network with people. Yes, there were some times when I may have been instrumental in asking you to go somewhere. Well, for instance, the meeting that you met Marilyn. I couldn't go to that meeting. I heard about it. I wanted to know about online publishing, and you were kind enough to go. So that was what started that. But you know, one plants, another waters, and God gives the increase. So I'm real clear about the fact that everything that has happened has been a part of a divine plan. And it certainly has come to fruition in some beautiful ways, and is still coming to fruition, given what your continued plans are and mine.
Well, I don't know if you know, but I got my book published about 2 months ago as a result of working with Marilyn, and I have 2 more books that are in the works right now. So yes, it is a gift that has been continuing to give, and just look at all the people that have been affected by your generosity in terms of inviting me into your show. And you were on public access for how many years? More than 20 years, correct?
Altogether, yes, more than 20 years. And I was doing what I was doing simply because I loved the community. I have a good relationship with the camera, and I can talk. That was all that I brought to it. I didn't have the administrative skills, the technical skills, none of that. But what I had was a real feel for what I believe public access television was intended to be. Well, what television was intended to be. It was originally an educational tool that was supposed to educate us about the world around us, and particularly our own communities. Well, it's gotten to be something completely different from that, but public access promised, in the beginning anyway, that it could be people's television. It could be the television that allowed us to go into our communities, celebrate the things that were there to be celebrated, comment on those things that we perhaps didn't like, and see what we could change. And that was what public access was supposed to do. The shows that I did over those 20 years, I was highlighting people that were never going to be on the 5 o'clock news, because they were doing positive things, and that they were the infrastructure of this community. They were the people that held it together by teaching Sunday school for 30 years, or being a principal at a school, or being a judge, or being a lawyer, or being a doctor, or being a street sweeper, but somebody who was cognizant of what was important in their community and followed up on that. So that was what my show was about. And I sprinkled in the arts, and being a storyteller, there was sometimes when I told stories as well. So that was what and we did bring people in, and we did train people, but not to the extent that you did, because I didn't have that kind of organizational skill. But you brought that, and that was a wonderful thing to watch. And I must admit, you tried. You tried very hard to have me to embrace the technology. And I did the best that I could, the really very best that I could. But my learning curve was a lot longer than what I think you could tolerate, and I don't blame you in the least. But I want to tell you that it wasn't in vain, that I am being engaged in the social media. And I do have a Facebook page and a Twitter account and a few other things that I'm becoming more adept at. And as time goes on, I feel certain I will do more of, because there's more that I want to do. What we have been doing over the years is we have been highlighting people's gifts. Maybe it was their passion for wanting clean water or clean air, or a good source of energy, or a decent diet, or whatever it was, because you've had people on from all walks of life talking about a lot of different things, and so have I. But I think there comes a time when we really have to celebrate who we are and whose we are. And I'm not talking about being the street corner preacher, because I have nothing wrong with that, because I'm one of those too. But there is, as the sister who spoke earlier talked about, Ayana, she said, there's a shift, there's a change, and we're a part of that change. Not only are we a part of it, we're foundational to it. It's been our melanin that has been the foundational piece for all of the change that we have experienced over thousands and thousands of years. And so who better to take a stand for the kinds of changes that we know are happening in the atmosphere, in the universe, in the galaxies, but the first people, and that's who we are a part of. And my role as a storyteller, and I can't say that I have taken full responsibility for it up until now, but it's my intention to do that, because I believe that if we know our stories and we know our history, then we have a much better chance of envisioning a better world to come. And so that's what the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother is all about. She's everybody's godmother. She's everybody's grandmother. She's the voice that you want to hear when you need to have some direction, when you need to have some guidance. So I think I've turned the corner on the stairwell of maturity, so that now it's time for me to take that stance.
Well, I've always been amazed at how you've been able to articulate those stories. It just seems like you just pull them out of some place. I guess it's your heart. I guess part of it is your mind, your soul. I guess all of that contributes to your stories, and it shows. It just comes out natural, and it's such wisdom. I've watched people behind the camera just smiling and looking at you like this, and people back in the direction booth when you're sitting out here being interviewed and doing your fairy godmother. There are people back there clapping when you finish, on the soundboard and stuff. So you have an effect on people across the board, and you have certainly been a positive impact on a lot more people than what you may imagine. And I'm eternally grateful to you for what the impact you've had on my life.
Well, I appreciate that. I really do. One of the things that I've had to be aware of in my journey is that it's not about me. It really isn't. I'm a vessel. And a vessel is only as good as the cleanliness of its sides. Like a blood vessel. If you got clogged up arteries, you're going to have blood clots, you're going to have strokes, you're going to have heart attacks, you have all kind of stuff. So if you've got a clean vessel, you're more than likely to have a flow that's going to be more akin to the truth. It takes a while to get there. It's taken me a while to get there. I'm very clear about the fact that this is a gift, and I had to get out of the way. And in order for me to get out of that way, um, I had to be the mother and the grandmother and the great grandmother, and then to realize that, first of all, I'm a child of God, and I have a responsibility to do what I was put here to do, recognize what my purpose is, and walk in that purpose. And I believe that I've done the things that I was supposed to do. I got a few generations of people that are kind of glad that I'm a part of them. But on the other hand, if I stay there with them to do what I think needs to be done, then when do they learn how to stand on their own, first of all? When do they learn that they can get a prayer through, first of all? When do they learn whose they are, really, first of all? And when do I get a chance to do what I was put here to do? So that's the place that I find myself now. And public access television has taken me through so many years. I would come in here, I always shot on Friday nights, and I would come in here tired, crazy, couldn't even think of what I was going to say. And let the lights go on and the camera come on and the guests be there, and it was on. And so that's how I knew it was a gift.
And you certainly did that well. There have been some very exciting shows we've had on technology, the things you've done with the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother, the thing on 211. There's so many fantastic interviews that I've seen and that I've observed with you over these years, and it's really been an honor to be a part of that whole process. And I go further. I think that you are part of the process. What you just said, get yourself out of the way. I think that it's okay for us to pat ourselves on the back and say that we did a good job. And that's what I just want to convey to you. I know that you're the vessel, et cetera, et cetera. On the other hand, you have followed some instructions that you have been given, wherever that came from. And so you are doing that well. And so you have been able to positively impact several people. And I acknowledge that, whether you do or not. I'm gonna say that, and so I hope that you will continue this journey with us, and I hope that I can continue to be a positive influence on you and yours.
I'm ready to step up, and there's no ego involved in it at this point. That was the lesson that I had to learn, was that it's not about me. It's about what I'm supposed to be doing and the effect that has. Now, am I to reap some benefit from that? Of course. I mean, all of these years, of course, the thing, I had to bring my grandmother in this. Everybody knows I got to talk about my mama, because she raised me and I loved her dearly. And she knew early on that I had gifts, artistic gifts. But she said, yeah, honey, but what you gonna do to earn a living? Because you ain't gonna like chicken today and feathers tomorrow. So she was right. I've always had to have a steady gig, and that was what nursing did for me. But the gift that I realized early on, and more so now, even as I'm still nursing, is that it was a healing gift. It was a creative gift, and it supported me. So why wouldn't I think that the gifts that I am currently using and just kind of not paying a lot of attention to and not giving a lot of credence to, why wouldn't they support me as well? So I'm ready. I'm reachable, I'm teachable, and I'm here.
Well, on that note, I think that you want to do some Golden Brown Fairy Godmother things, right? Or you want to tell a story? Be the storyteller.
Well, first of all, I want to give you a poem. This is a book that I put together years ago, many years ago. The third printing was in 1990, so that's a long time ago. But I want to read you this poem because I want you to know how my brain was working even at that time. It's called Networks. And I'm not talking about NBC, CBS, ESPN, or ABC. Coming from TCB, as in taking care of business. So much business needs to be taken care of. Little children being stolen and sold and killed and thrown away. The KKK boldly on the march. Administration intent on us taking low, eating crow. Now they're talking about our president, because he looked like me and me. flying to Venus and Mars and Saturn, ain't learned to live here together yet. Or we buying Sevilles and Mercedes and yachts and jacuzzis. Not much thought as to what the children are learning about the real stuff, the stuff that counts in the end, what the old folks taught, loving ourselves for ourselves, loving each other, and helping our brother or our sister to move on up a little higher so they can TCB too. Networks. And that's what I think is so cool about you. Because you take a network and it's never the same once you have dealt with it. Well, the community coalition and, pulling people together to meet up and all of those sorts of things. I mean, that's a wonderful thing. And mentoring other people so that can move out. That to me is what this shift in our consciousness is all about. It's helping us to build on what we know. And the Golden Brown Fairy Godmother, she would tell you in a heartbeat, baby, don't you never sell yourself short. I mean, you might not be too tall. Oh, well, you just fine. I ain't talking about you. But sometimes folks get all upset because they ain't as tall as the next person. Or they ain't as thin as the next person. Or they might not think they as smart as the next person. Or pretty or whatever. Or in the skin color thing, we got that bad. Oh, she too dark, he too light. All that stuff don't mean nothing. Don't mean nothing but a hill of beans. Because see, the real thing that's really important is what's inside your heart. What's inside your spirit. Because you see, you can be as fine as Georgia wine on the outside. And you got one of them old moldy, ugly, greedy, tired hearts on the inside. Can't find nothing good to say about nobody, most especially yourself. And you ain't got nothing to work with. Now, see, this is what I tell all the little children when they come around me, and they always come around, talking about GBFG, GBFG, GBFG. Oh, look at me. I'm so cute. Ain't I pretty? Ain't I? Honey, don't show me nothing about no pretty on the outside. Because beauty is only skin deep. But ugly? That's to the bone. Actually, it's to the marrow. It really goes beyond that. It really goes to your soul. So that's why I say to people, if you show me a smile, I mean a real one, from your heart, where your eyes are smiling, and your spirit is bright, and you got your arms open out to the world, not with your hands balled up though, with them open, because that way you can give and receive, then I know you got a spirit that can be worked with. And if you got a spirit that can be worked with, you got a mind that can be taught. And I don't care what they talking about, them IQ tests and this ism and that ism and autism and all those other isms. I don't care nothing about that. Love will heal it all. You just got to know how to love folk. And if you don't know how to love them, leave them alone. Don't mess with them. Sing them a song, blow them a kiss. But if you can't love them, leave them alone. And you sure don't have to be hitting on them and screaming at them and all of the stuff that I see going on. And the music, oh, this music that they playing. Whatever happened to Duke Ellington and Sarah Vaughan and the Ink Spots and the Clovers and the Spinners and all them people that was making real music. Well, these children that are trying to boom, boom, to boom, boom, to boom, boom, to boom, to now, they're just trying to make money. They're not trying to make music because it ain't coming from their heart. It's coming from what they think is in their pocket. Well, they don't invite me to talk too much, you know, because I'm always going to tell them the truth. But I tell it to them in love. So, when you invite me, make sure you got a good plate of collard greens, and I don't mind a little hot water cornbread every now and then. You ain't got to fry my chicken, though. You can just bake it. But if you set the plate, I'll come, and I'll sit with you, and I'll sup with you, and I'll tell you just what the Lord loves, and that sure is the truth. That's the way the golden brown fairy godmother talks.
Well, it's always wonderful to hear those renditions, and I hope that we can, move forward to get more of that wisdom out, because that wisdom it's like a desert out here for that kind of wisdom and for that kind of caring and that kind of loving. People of all ages can benefit from absorbing that type of material. It's just wonderful. The story with John Jason and being afraid of the monster at night in the bedroom, that kind of thing, with the big moose coming in.
Oh, you like that one? Huh?
That's a good story.
That was the first one, yeah.
So
the first one.
Those are fabulous stories that need to be told, and we have so many of your so many of your tapes that we're going to be converting onto a DVD to continue to get that message out, and just such a long history you had there with community issues, a tapestry of concerns.
That was the name of the last show. One of the other shows that I had was called Sisters of Distinction, and we interviewed women only at that point in time. Well, that show ran for 3 years. So we had about 3 or 4 different shows, different slants on the community. At that point in time, there were a lot of women that were doing firsts in the community at that time. First black law firm or first women's law firm. So those kinds of things were happening at that particular time. So my experience with public access really is kind of it kind of mirrors our civil rights movement in San Diego, because there's been a lot of things that have happened and a lot of things that we need to go back and revisit as well. So hopefully somebody will pick up on that.
Well, we're down to our last 5 minutes, so I want to make sure that you're able to convey to the public what it is that you want to convey. What are the action steps? What's next for Alyce Smith Cooper and Golden Brown Fairy Godmother?
I think what's next for me is to really take this character that was born 30 years ago when my first grandson was born, and allow her to speak the wisdom that she's been given to speak in light of the technology that we have available to us. I've never been averse to internet or any of the other incredible technologies. I just didn't know how to do them and didn't really want to learn how to do them. But I'm more than willing to put myself in the place to be utilized and to utilize it to get the message around the world. That's the only vision that I've ever had for myself, was that I'd be telling stories and they'd be broadcast around the world. So those are that's what I want to do. My stories are based upon the truth as I understand it. I am a minister of the gospel of Jesus Christ, and so it's always going to have that flavor. But I'm also a chaplain, and I understand that you get to people in lots of different ways, and that spirituality nor religion was ever intended to separate people. And so my goal is to galvanize people, to bring us together in the spirit of love and peace and joy that I know we're intended to live in.
Well, thank you very much, and it's been a great honor To have you on my last show is just more so fitting. It couldn't be better. And I want you to do the thing with your ear that you always do for your grandbaby. That's a little signal. I so miss seeing that. I really want to thank everyone who has been a volunteer on the show, and for my audience that's been following me for the number of years, and Alyce Smith Cooper for that matter, our whole series. It's really been great producing shows here at Cox Communications. We'll be continuing our journey, although this is our last recording here, continuing to stand up for human rights, social justice, and the environment. We're going to continue to be a voice for people who don't have a voice, continuing to network, continuing to teach technology, continuing to uplift and be a part of the change that's coming in our society in the very near term. We want to continue to be a positive impact on the community, to be a force for love, a force for peace, a force for unity, force for fairness. We want to be a platform that supports people and that promotes love, because love is a thing that can heal all things, that can heal the broken hearts. And we're just going to say that we're not going to allow the world to continue the way that it is now. We're going to continue to report on the things that are going on in our community, continue to try to uplift, continue to try to unite, and continue towards our journey for love, peace, unity, and justice. I want to thank you very much for your attention and for being part of our audience right now and for the many years to come, we hope. Please stay tuned and also join the Community Coalition. Keep track of our activities as we'll be moving in the field more so, now going on location to tell a lot of our stories. Look for our internet television and internet radio broadcasts, and you can also find us on YouTube. So once again, thank you very much. This is Walter Davis.